Alright, so I want to talk about a couple of tools that might come in handy for you this winter. I know we've got some very dry weather out in the Midwest this week, so I just want to take a moment to talk about humidifiers and their importance. I highly stress getting one of these if you don't have one already, because the hide glue that's inside your instrument, making up nearly all the seams, can dry out with time and with enough dry weather. So it can be very important to have one. I didn't used to have one for my main violin, and it ended up one winter the neck literally fell right off. Like, it had never been even glued on there. Level fell off. And needless to say, that was pretty startling and alarming, and I was really freaked out about it, but a luthier was able to glue it back on for about $70. And to save $70, I would suggest just buying a humidifier and preventing any issues like that or seams opening up in the future. So, a few different brands that I use. I've got a Dampit brand Dampit. I said Dampit, D-A-M-P-I-T. Yell it loud enough while you're looking for it. Someone might think you're cussing, so just be careful to enunciate when you're looking for one of these. It's a simple rubber tube with a sponge in the middle that soaks up water and holds it there to help keep your instrument humidified. It's got this wide plastic donut that you would just put on here, or washer maybe you want to call it, and that keeps it from falling inside your instrument, because what you do is you slip it in through the F-hole of your instrument, and that keeps it from getting lost inside. This one's a little big for a violin. This one's actually for my cello. They do make violin-sized ones, though, that are pretty nice and handy. Here I've got a Chinese ripoff I got on Amazon for my bass, because I didn't want to have to pay the full Dampit brand price for a bass, so I bought this ripoff one, and it works the exact same way. The head end is the huge end to keep it from getting lost inside my bass, and it works pretty much the same as the Dampit. I'm pleased with it, despite it being kind of questionable coming from Amazon and not knowing what you're going to get for the money. The next type that I have is called a Herco, which is this guy. It says guitar humidifier on it, but if you look at the side, it says it also protects violins, cellos, clarinets, and other wood instruments. This one's actually a clay humidifier. So what you do is you pop this guy open, and it's got clay in it. You can see it's a little bit wet yet because I just moistened it today. And you just let water sit on it and give it a few minutes to fully absorb the water, and then you dump out the rest, snap the lid on, wipe it off. I'd recommend wiping off any of these humidifiers just to keep any excess moisture or water droplets from getting on and ruining your instrument's finish or hurting something else. And then you pop it in and you're ready to go. The next type that I have is one of these D'Addario, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, style humidifiers. Again, you can use these for guitars or violins, and what this is just a plastic case with some holes in it and a sponge. Whoops. A sponge. And you can pull this sponge. Trying to do this one-handed is challenging, especially with my non-dominant hand, but you can pull out this sponge, just soak it, wring it out, make sure it's not excessively wet, pop it back in here, snap the lid back on, and I would suggest again taking a towel or a paper towel and wiping off the outside to make sure excess water droplets do not hurt your instrument. Again, please consult your manufacturer directions to make sure that you're using it properly and that you don't harm your instrument. Again, discretion and making sure you read instructions carefully are key. And again, I will not be legally responsible for any mistakes made with one of these, but they are super helpful, and I haven't had as many issues with anything like that since. Well, I really haven't had any issues with anything like that since. I should rephrase that. But they definitely help, especially on older instruments, keeping seams from reopening, which is a problem for my bass, which is pretty old and was not necessarily stored quite the right way. It never had a humidifier, and it wasn't always in the most humid, balanced environment. It was pretty dry or humid. There was no happy balance to keep it where it needs to be. So that's had some trouble with seams opening, and I've had to re-glue those, as we've seen in another tutorial that I did on how to glue seams. So that instrument benefits from having a Dampit. My violin that had the neck fell off. The neck is still on there, good and strong. It's not going anywhere. And I have a couple other older violins that, again, are more prone to seams opening up now that the glue is older, but these help keep that from happening and give it the humidity that it needs to avoid, again, any seams opening or other damage that might happen. So I would just recommend you check out getting one of these for your instrument. You can go to most music stores, should carry them. I think Guitar Center carries at least the Hercos, and I think these D'Addario type styled ones, from what I've seen before, maybe not anymore, but last time I was there they did. And again, other specialty music shops that deal with band or orchestral instruments should have these. It's also worth checking Amazon. Amazon has a good selection, but that would be my PSA of the day. Get yourself a good humidifier, read up on how to use it, and use it well. Prevent some damage, especially again with winter being all nasty outside.